Millionaire Mind, published by Audiobooks Journal YouTube channel. Who is this book for? This book is for anyone who refuses to live an average life. It's for the dreamers who are tired of just dreaming and finally want to start building. It's for the hustlers who wake up every day knowing deep down they're meant for more than paying bills and waiting for weekends. If you've ever looked at successful people and thought, what do they know that I don't? This book is for you. If you're ready to rewire your mindset, break toxic money habits, and train your brain to think like a millionaire, then you belong here. This isn't about luck, privilege, or waiting for the perfect moment. It's about shifting how you see yourself, how you think about money, and how you take action daily. Whether you're broke, stuck, or already doing well but want to level up, the principles in this book will push you to the next stage. This book is for the bold. The ones who believe success isn't reserved for them, but is absolutely possible for you. Chapter 1. Think rich before you are rich. The journey to wealth begins long before the money shows up in your bank account. It begins in your mind. What separates millionaires from everyone else isn't just the size of their wallet, but the way they think, the way they see opportunities, and the way they shape their daily decisions. Thinking rich before you are rich isn't about pretending to be someone you are not. It's about creating the mental foundation that makes wealth inevitable. Many people think money is just about numbers. They believe that if they work harder, save a little more, or hope for a lucky break, they'll eventually become rich. But the truth is, without the right mindset, money slips away as quickly as it comes. You've probably seen lottery winners who end up broke within a few years, or high-earning professionals who live paycheck to paycheck. That's because money without the millionaire mind is like water poured into a broken cup. The real game begins in your head. So how do you start thinking rich before you are rich? It begins with awareness. It begins with challenging the beliefs you've carried since childhood, the lessons you absorbed from your family, your culture, and your environment. If you grew up hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, or we can't afford that, then those words shaped how you think about money today. Maybe they even built invisible limits on what you believe is possible for you. The millionaire mind starts by breaking those limits. Thinking rich means replacing scarcity with abundance. It means seeing money not as something that runs away from you, but as something that flows through you. It means refusing to see yourself as a victim of circumstance and instead positioning yourself as the architect of your financial destiny. A person who thinks rich doesn't wait for opportunities, they create them. They don't say, I can't afford this. They ask, how can I afford this? That small shift in language opens the brain to solutions instead of closing the door with excuses. Another part of thinking rich is vision. If you can't see yourself living at a higher level, you will never get there. Wealth is not an accident. It's designed first in the imagination and then built in reality. Every entrepreneur, every investor, every self-made millionaire started with a vision that existed only in their head before the world ever saw it. If you want to become wealthy, you need to practice visualizing yourself already successful, already abundant, already living in the reality you are chasing. The more real it feels in your mind, the more motivated you'll be to make it real in your life. But thinking rich doesn't mean reckless spending or faking wealth with luxury items you can't afford. That's the trap too many people fall into. They think acting rich means buying designer clothes or driving expensive cars when they're drowning in debt. That's not a millionaire mind. A true millionaire mind knows that wealth is not about what you show, but about what you grow. Thinking rich before you are rich means making smart choices, investing in yourself, and planting seeds for future abundance instead of trying to impress people in the present. One of the most powerful tools of the millionaire mind is gratitude. At first, this might sound strange. What does gratitude have to do with wealth? Everything. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already have. When you start appreciating the resources, skills, and opportunities around you, you stop living in scarcity and start noticing possibilities. People who constantly complain about what they don't have rarely find ways to improve their situation. People who are grateful, even when they don't have much, open themselves up to growth. Gratitude is the soil where abundance grows. Now let's talk about self-worth. Money flows to those who believe they deserve it. If deep down you feel unworthy of success, You will sabotage yourself every time you get close to it. Thinking rich means valuing your skills, your time, and your energy. It means not settling for less than what you're worth. Too many people work jobs they hate, accept salaries far below their potential, or stay stuck in environments that limit them simply because they don't believe they deserve better. The millionaire mind says, "I am worthy of abundance, and I will not apologize for wanting it." Another critical part of thinking rich is learning to see money as a tool, not as a master. People with a scarcity mindset are controlled by money. They fear losing it, they cling to it, and they make decisions based on lack. Millionaires, on the other hand, use money as a tool for growth, freedom, and impact. They don't see money as the end goal, but as fuel for building businesses, supporting causes, and creating a life of choices. Thinking rich means asking yourself, how can I use money to create more value, more growth, and more freedom? Let's dive into the idea of long-term vision. Thinking rich is about patience. The world is obsessed with quick wins, instant gratification, and overnight success. But real wealth is built over time. The millionaire mind plays the long game. Instead of wasting energy chasing short-term pleasures, it invests in habits and actions that compound. Reading, learning, building skills, saving, and investing may not give you fireworks today, but over time, they create explosions of opportunity. Thinking rich means you are willing to delay comfort today for freedom tomorrow. Thinking rich also requires courage. Wealthy people don't avoid risk, they manage it. They know that playing safe all the time guarantees mediocrity. That doesn't mean gambling or making reckless bets. It means being brave enough to step outside your comfort zone, start projects, make investments, or launch businesses when others are too afraid to act. Courage is the currency of growth, and without it, the millionaire mind cannot thrive. But here's the truth. Thinking rich is not always easy. You will face doubts, setbacks, and moments when your vision feels impossible. That's why discipline matters. The millionaire mind doesn't give up when things get hard. It keeps moving, adjusting, learning, and pushing forward. Every great success story is built on resilience, the ability to keep believing in your vision when nobody else does. If you can train your mind to stay strong through the storms, you are already richer than most. Another dimension of thinking rich is the people you surround yourself with. Your environment shapes your mindset more than you realize. If you spend your time with people who constantly complain, gossip, and play small, their energy will drag you down. If you surround yourself with ambitious, motivated, and growth-minded individuals, their energy will lift you up. Millionaires are intentional about their circle. They seek out mentors, peers, and communities that challenge them to think bigger and act smarter. Thinking rich before you are rich also means investing in yourself. This is perhaps the most powerful principle of all. Before you can build wealth outside, you must build wealth inside. That means reading, learning new skills, improving your mindset, and taking care of your health. Too many people want to earn millions without ever improving themselves. But the truth is, your level of wealth will rarely exceed your level of personal growth. The more valuable you become, the more value you can create, and the more money naturally flows your way. To think rich is to train your brain to see opportunities where others see obstacles. It is to build habits that align with your vision. It is to hold yourself to higher standards, even when no one is watching. It is to live each day with purpose, direction, and belief that you are destined for more. So, as you begin this journey, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what thoughts about money have been holding me back? What beliefs about wealth have I inherited that no longer serve me? And most importantly, am I ready to start thinking like a millionaire, even if my bank account doesn't reflect it yet? Because here's the secret. When your mind becomes rich, your life will follow. Wealth begins as an idea, then it becomes a belief, then it becomes a lifestyle, and finally it becomes your reality. Think rich now before you are rich, and you will create the path to abundance that others only dream of. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. It really helps me create more content for you. Thank you. Chapter 2. Build habits that print wealth. If Chapter 1 was about creating the mindset of a millionaire, then this chapter is about putting that mindset into motion. Thoughts and beliefs are powerful, But without habits to back them up, they remain daydreams. Wealth isn't built on one lucky break or one massive leap forward. It is built on small, consistent, repeated actions that compound over time. Habits are the silent engines of success. They work when you're not even thinking about them. They either pull you toward poverty or push you toward wealth, and the choice is entirely yours. When people look at millionaires, they often assume there's some big secret they don't know. They imagine there must be a hidden formula or some once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But in reality, the biggest difference between the wealthy and the average isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's discipline. Millionaires build habits that automatically keep them moving toward financial growth, while most people build habits that keep them stuck in survival mode. The truth is, your habits will either make you rich or keep you broke. So let's be clear. Habits print wealth. They don't just save you time or energy, they create momentum. And momentum is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Think about this. Every time you spend money without thinking, every time you procrastinate instead of working on your goals, every time you scroll on your phone instead of reading, learning, or creating, you're building habits. The question is, are they habits that make you richer or poorer? Wealth is never an accident. It's the byproduct of deliberately chosen habits practiced daily until they become second nature. The first key to building habits that print wealth is awareness. You cannot change what you do not recognize. Take a look at your daily routines. What do you do when you wake up? How do you handle your money? How do you spend your free time? Most people don't even notice the patterns running their lives, but those patterns are writing their financial future. Becoming wealthy doesn't start with getting a raise or launching a business. It starts with looking at yourself and asking, are my daily actions aligned with the life I want to build? Let's talk about money habits first. Rich people treat money differently from everyone else. They don't just earn it, they manage it, multiply it, and make it work for them. If your habit is to spend every dollar that comes in, no amount of income will ever make you wealthy. But if your habit is to save, invest, and prioritize growth, even a modest income can build wealth over time. A millionaire habit is setting aside money for investing before you spend on luxuries. A millionaire habit is tracking your expenses and making sure every dollar has a purpose. A millionaire habit is refusing to let impulse spending sabotage your long-term vision. But financial habits aren't the only habits that matter. The habits of your mind and body matter just as much. Wealth demands energy, clarity, and focus. If your habits are to stay up late, eat poorly, and waste time on distractions, you're weakening the very foundation you need to build success. Millionaires don't just guard their money, they guard their time, their attention, and their health. Waking up early, exercising, reading, and feeding your mind with knowledge may not directly put money in your pocket today, but they build the foundation for the discipline and sharpness you need to create wealth tomorrow. Another habit that prints wealth is consistency in growth. Wealthy people are addicted to learning. They don't just rely on what they already know. They're constantly upgrading their skills, reading books, listening to mentors, and seeking new perspectives. Why? Because they know the world changes fast, and the person who keeps learning is the person who stays ahead. If you make learning a habit, you're not just preparing yourself for opportunities. You're making yourself the kind of person opportunities chase. One of the most underrated wealth habits is delayed gratification. The ability to wait, to sacrifice temporary pleasure for long-term gain, is one of the strongest predictors of success. Most people want results now. They want the money, the car, the lifestyle immediately. But millionaires understand that true wealth comes to those who can play the long game. They build the habit of saying no today so they can say yes to bigger things tomorrow. They skip unnecessary expenses, reinvest their profits, and keep building when others are spending. Every time you delay gratification, you're strengthening the muscle that creates wealth. But here's the truth. Building habits is not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's often boring. And that's exactly why most people fail to do it. They chase excitement instead of consistency, They want something new every day instead of repeating the same powerful routines over and over. Yet wealth is the reward of boring consistency. It's waking up early, day after day. It's saving a percentage of your income, month after month. It's reading and learning, year after year. Boring to some, life-changing to those who stick with it. Now let's address the enemy of wealth-building habits: comfort. Comfort is seductive. Comfort whispers to you that you can skip the workout, spend the money, binge the series, sleep in, and put things off until tomorrow. Comfort is easy in the moment, but expensive in the long run. Millionaires understand that comfort kills dreams. That's why they build habits that push them beyond it. They embrace discomfort as the price of growth. Every new habit feels uncomfortable at first, but if you lean into it, that discomfort becomes the fuel that sets you apart from the rest. Another crucial element is automation. The fewer decisions you leave to willpower, the better. If you have to force yourself every time, you'll eventually quit. Millionaires automate their success. They set automatic transfers to savings or investment accounts. They schedule their work and workouts like non-negotiable appointments. They remove temptations and build environments that support their goals. By making success the default option, they allow their habits to run the show even when motivation fades. But let's not forget about mindset habits. The way you think daily is a habit too. If you constantly complain, compare yourself to others, or focus on problems instead of solutions, you're building a habit of negativity that will poison your growth. Wealthy people practice the habit of optimism, gratitude, and problem solving. They don't waste time blaming circumstances or people. They look for solutions. They turn setbacks into lessons. This habit of resilient thinking is priceless because it keeps them moving forward no matter what life throws at them. It's also important to realize that habits are contagious. The people you spend time with influence your routines more than you know. If your friends have habits of wasting time, overspending, or playing small, you'll absorb those habits unconsciously. If you surround yourself with people who are disciplined, ambitious, and growth-minded, their habits will pull you upward. Wealthy people don't leave their environment to chance, they choose their circle carefully. So, how do you start building these habits? The key is not to try to change everything overnight. Massive change feels exciting at first, but rarely lasts. Start small, but start now. Replace one bad habit with one good habit. Save a small percentage of your income. Read 10 pages a day. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. The small changes compound, and before you know it, you've built an unstoppable momentum. Remember, habits are like planting seeds. You don't see the results immediately. A seed takes time to sprout, grow, and bear fruit. But if you water it daily, it will eventually grow into something powerful. The same is true with wealth habits. At first, it might feel like nothing is happening, but keep going, keep building, keep repeating. One day, the results will explode, and everyone else will think it happened overnight, when in reality, it was years of habits compounding in silence. Here's the hard truth. If you don't consciously build wealth habits, you will unconsciously build poverty habits. Every day you're training yourself, whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you training yourself for wealth or for struggle? If you want freedom, you have to choose the habits that create it, and then commit to them relentlessly. Wealth is not a mystery. It is a byproduct of daily actions. Millionaires aren't lucky. They're disciplined. They're not special. They're consistent. The difference between you and them is not potential. It's patterns. Start building the right patterns, and your life will change in ways you can't even imagine right now. So commit to this truth. Your habits are your future. Build habits that print wealth, and they will pay you back every single day for the rest of your life. Chapter 3. Turn fear into fuel for success. Fear is one of the greatest obstacles on the path to wealth and success, but it is also one of the greatest sources of power if you know how to use it. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary has faced fear. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not the absence of fear, but how they respond to it. Most people let fear control them, stop them, and keep them small. Millionaires and leaders, however, learn to transform fear into fuel, turning what could have been paralysis into unstoppable energy. Fear is natural. It's wired into our biology. Thousands of years ago, fear kept our ancestors alive. It told them to run from predators, to stay alert, to protect themselves from danger. But today, most of the fears we face are not about survival. They are about failure, rejection, embarrassment, or the unknown. The problem is not that we feel fear, but that we give it too much power. Instead of treating fear as a signal to act, most people treat it as a wall that cannot be crossed. If you want to succeed, you have to change your relationship with fear. You cannot eliminate it, but you can transform it. Fear is energy, and like any energy, it can destroy you if you let it run wild, or it can drive you forward if you learn to channel it. Think about the people you admire, the entrepreneurs, the athletes, the artists, the leaders. Do you believe they never felt fear? Of course they did. They felt it deeply. But instead of waiting for the fear to disappear, they acted anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward despite it. That's why courage is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The first step to turning fear into fuel is to recognize it for what it really is, a sign that you're stepping into growth. Fear shows up when you're outside your comfort zone, and that's exactly where success lives, outside the comfortable, predictable, and safe. If you feel fear, it means you're on the edge of expansion. Instead of running from it, start seeing it as a compass pointing you toward the areas of your greatest potential. Most people let fear stop them because they magnify the worst-case scenario in their minds. They imagine failure, humiliation, or loss so vividly that they talk themselves out of trying. But here's the truth. The worst-case scenario is almost never as bad as you think. And even if you fail, failure itself is not fatal. It's feedback. Every failure teaches you something that moves you closer to success. Millionaires don't fear failure because they see it as tuition, not tragedy. They know every mistake is a lesson they paid for, and every lesson makes them stronger. Let's look at fear of rejection. Many people are terrified of hearing no. They don't ask for opportunities. They don't negotiate for raises. They don't pitch their ideas because they fear rejection. But the wealthy understand that rejection is part of the process. The more no you collect, the closer you get to a yes. If you make rejection your enemy, you'll quit after the first attempt. If you make rejection your teacher, you'll keep going until success becomes inevitable. Every no is proof you're in the arena, playing the game, while others are sitting on the sidelines avoiding risk. Another common fear is fear of the unknown. People want certainty. They want to know the outcome before they act. But certainty is an illusion. Nothing in life is guaranteed, and waiting for perfect clarity is another way of staying stuck forever. Millionaires know this. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They take action, adapt, and figure things out along the way. Fear of the unknown is simply a signal that you're entering new territory. Instead of seeing that as a threat, see it as an adventure. Growth always requires stepping into the unknown. Here's something most people miss. Fear and excitement feel almost identical in the body. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your stomach tightens. The only difference is the story you tell yourself. If you say, "I'm afraid," your brain looks for danger. If you say, "I'm excited," your brain looks for opportunity. Millionaires master this mental shift. They train themselves to interpret the physical signs of fear as signs of readiness. Instead of saying, "I'm terrified," they say, "I'm fired up." That small shift changes fear from a prison into a springboard. Let's also talk about the habit of avoidance. Fear makes people avoid challenges. They procrastinate, delay, and distract themselves with busy work instead of facing what matters most. But avoidance only makes fear stronger. The longer you avoid something, the bigger it grows in your mind. The millionaire mind flips the script. It tackles the most uncomfortable, scary, or uncertain tasks first. They know that facing fear directly shrinks its power. Action is the antidote to fear. Every step you take into what scares you makes the fear weaker and you stronger. Now, let's connect fear with ambition. The truth is, the size of your fear often matches the size of your dream. If your goals don't scare you, they're probably too small. Fear is the signal that you're aiming at something big enough to matter. Instead of lowering your goals to reduce your fear, raise your courage to match your goals. The greater the fear, the greater the reward waiting on the other side. There's also a financial side to fear. Many people never start businesses, never invest, never take risks with their money because fear holds them hostage. They say, "What if I lose it?" And so they do nothing. And ironically, that's the biggest loss of all. Millionaires take calculated risks. They know not every investment will succeed, not every idea will work, but they also know that fear-based inaction guarantees failure. By acting, even imperfectly, they give themselves a chance to win. So how do you practically turn fear into fuel? You lean into it, you embrace it, you make it part of your growth process. Every time you feel fear, instead of shrinking back, you ask, "What is this fear trying to teach me? What action can I take right now to prove that I'm stronger than this fear?" You start to use fear as a signal for where you need to grow, and the more you practice this, the more fear becomes less of a monster and more of a mentor. Another powerful way is through reframing. Instead of saying, "I'm afraid of failing," you say, "I'm afraid of never trying." Instead of saying, "What if I lose?" you say, "What if I win?" By flipping the perspective, you give your brain a new story to believe. That new story changes your emotional state, and your emotional state changes your actions. One of the most inspiring truths is that fear never fully disappears. Even the most successful people feel it, but they don't wait for it to vanish. They learn to carry it with them. They let fear ride in the passenger seat, but they never let it drive. Fear may whisper doubts, but they don't let those whispers dictate their choices. They use the energy of fear to sharpen their focus, heighten their awareness, and push themselves harder. Fear is a sign you care. If you didn't care about the outcome, you wouldn't feel fear at all. That means fear is proof you're chasing something meaningful, and that is something to celebrate. Instead of letting it paralyze you, let it remind you of the importance of what you're doing. Fear means the stakes are high, and high stakes are where life's greatest victories are found. Here's the ultimate truth. Fear will never leave your life, but neither will your ability to grow stronger than it. Every time you act in the face of fear, you build courage. Every time you push through discomfort, you build resilience. Every time you use fear as fuel, you train your brain to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities. And when that becomes your pattern, success becomes inevitable. So the next time fear shows up, don't run, don't freeze, don't make excuses. Instead, smile at it, acknowledge it, and then take a step forward anyway, because fear is not the enemy, it's the fire. And if you're brave enough to harness it, that fire will light the path to your greatest success. Chapter 4. Master the game of money, not just the numbers. Money is more than math. If wealth was simply about numbers, then every accountant would be a millionaire, every banker would be financially free, and every math genius would be living in abundance. But you and I both know that isn't true. Money is not just about addition and subtraction, it's about psychology, behavior, and strategy. It's about how you think, how you act, and how you play the game. To become truly wealthy, you must master the game of money, not just the numbers. Most people never reach financial freedom because they reduce money to nothing more than income and expenses. They believe if they just earn a little more or spend a little less, everything will change. And while managing expenses and increasing income are part of the process, they are not the full story. Wealth is not built on math alone. It's built on mindset, discipline, vision, and the ability to make money work for you rather than you always working for it. Think about it like this. Numbers tell you the score, but the game is about how you play. You can know the rules of basketball, but unless you step on the court, practice, take shots, and learn to compete, you will never win. Money works the same way. You can know what compound interest is, you can memorize financial formulas, but if you don't develop the mindset and habits of a wealth builder, you will stay stuck on the sidelines. So what does it mean to master the game of money? It means understanding the deeper principles that drive wealth creation. It means realizing that money is a tool, not the ultimate goal. It means learning how to control it instead of letting it control you. And it means playing the long game, not just chasing short-term wins. One of the first lessons in mastering the game is learning the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich is about how much you make right now. Wealth is about how long you can sustain your life without working. A rich person might drive the nicest car and live in the biggest house, but still be drowning in debt. A wealthy person might live with less flash, but has assets that generate income and create security for the future. If you focus only on the numbers, salary, bonuses, or possessions, you may look rich but never become wealthy. But if you focus on the game, building assets, creating cash flow, and multiplying opportunities, you step into real financial power. Another principle is leverage. The wealthy don't just trade time for money. They understand how to use money, knowledge, relationships, and systems to create more value than they could on their own. Most people are trapped in a linear equation. Hours worked equals dollars earned. But the millionaire mind looks for exponential growth. They ask, how can I build something once and get paid over and over again? How can I create value that multiplies instead of value that disappears at the end of the day? Mastering the game of money requires shifting from linear to exponential thinking. Now, let's talk about psychology. The game of money is played in the mind long before it is played in the bank account. Most people sabotage themselves because of their beliefs. They think money is evil, or money is scarce, or that wealth is reserved for a lucky few. With beliefs like that, no amount of financial knowledge will save them. They'll always find a way to push money away because deep down, they don't believe they deserve it, or they fear it will corrupt them. The millionaire mind replaces those beliefs with empowering ones. Money is a tool. Money amplifies who I already am. Money is abundant, and wealth is available to anyone who plays the game wisely. Here's another truth. Winning the game of money is not about how much you know, but about how consistently you act. Many people read books, attend seminars, and learn financial theories, but they never apply them. Knowledge without execution is worthless. What separates winners is discipline. Millionaires automate their savings, invest consistently, control their emotions during market swings, and stick to their strategies when others panic. They know the game rewards patience, persistence, and resilience more than it rewards brilliance. But let's be clear. The game of money is not just about saving and investing. It's also about earning. Many people focus so much on cutting expenses that they forget the other side of the equation, increasing income. You cannot shrink your way to wealth. You cannot cut lattes and hope to build empires. Mastering the game of money means learning how to create value in the marketplace, how to raise your earning potential, and how to build multiple streams of income. Saving is defense. Earning is offense. You need both to win. Think about money as a game of freedom. The ultimate purpose of wealth is not to count bills or stack digits in your bank account. The purpose is freedom. The freedom to live on your terms, to spend your time as you choose, to take care of your family, to give generously, and to pursue your passions without fear. When you see money as freedom, not just numbers, you start playing with higher stakes. You stop treating it as a paycheck-to-paycheck survival tool and start using it as a weapon to design the life you want. Now, let's address one of the traps most people fall into: emotional spending. Money has a way of triggering emotions: fear, greed, pride, insecurity. That's why mastering the game requires emotional control. The markets will rise and fall. Opportunities will come and go. If you let fear drive you, you'll sell too soon. If you let greed blind you, you'll chase bubbles. If you let pride control you, you'll overspend to impress others. Millionaires learn to separate emotions from decisions. They play the game with a calm mind, not a desperate heart. Another key is patience. Wealth is rarely built overnight. Yes, some people strike gold quickly, but that's the exception, not the rule. For most, wealth is built brick by brick, decision by decision, habit by habit. The game rewards those who stay in it long enough. Compounding takes time. Investments need years to grow. Businesses need consistency to mature. If you chase quick wins, you'll often end up with quick losses. But if you stay focused, disciplined, and patient, the game will reward you with exponential returns. The wealthy also understand that the game of money is about opportunities. Opportunities are everywhere, but only those who are prepared can seize them. Preparation means building skills, growing networks, saving capital, and training your mindset so that when the door opens, you can walk through it with confidence. Most people miss opportunities not because they never come, but because they're not ready when they do. Millionaires position themselves to win long before the opportunity appears. Another important principle is generosity. This may sound surprising, but wealth is not just about taking, it's about giving. Money is energy, and when you hold on to it with fear, you block its flow. But when you give, you create circulation. The wealthy give to causes they believe in, they invest in others, they share their knowledge. And in doing so, they expand their influence and create even greater abundance. Mastering the game of money means understanding that wealth grows when it is shared, not when it is hoarded. The truth is, money magnifies. If you are lazy, money will magnify your laziness. If you are disciplined, money will magnify your discipline. If you are fearful, money will magnify your fear. If you are generous, money will magnify your generosity. That's why mastering the game of money starts with mastering yourself. The outer game always follows the inner game. So how do you start playing at this level? First, commit to financial education, not just financial information. Don't just memorize numbers. Learn strategies, study behavior, observe patterns. Second, practice discipline with your money. Save consistently, invest wisely, control your spending. Third, focus on growth. Look for ways to increase income, to add more value, to create new streams of wealth. Fourth, develop patience and resilience. Stay in the game long enough for compounding and strategy to reward you. And finally, cultivate generosity. Use your wealth as a force for good, and you'll find it grows in ways you never imagined. Money is not just math. It's a game of vision, mindset, strategy, and discipline. If you want to win, you have to step beyond the numbers and play the real game. You have to think bigger, act bolder, and commit to mastery. The numbers will always follow the player who knows how to play. When you stop treating money as a set of figures and start treating it as a game you were born to win, everything changes. You stop surviving and start thriving. You stop counting pennies and start multiplying possibilities. And that is the shift that transforms ordinary earners into extraordinary wealth builders. Chapter 5. Surround yourself with winners, not excuses. Success is contagious, and so is mediocrity. The people around you are either pulling you closer to your goals or dragging you away from them. Every conversation, every piece of advice, every belief you absorb from your environment is shaping your destiny. If you surround yourself with winners, you rise. If you surround yourself with excuse makers, you stall. It's that simple. Too many people underestimate the power of environment. They think success is all about personal effort, about grinding alone in the dark until they break through. While personal drive is crucial, the truth is that your circle either fuels your ambition or suffocates it. Winners breathe life into your vision. Excuse makers drain it away with their doubts, fears, and negativity. You cannot build a millionaire mind while surrounding yourself with people committed to average thinking. Look at history. Champions never train alone. Elite athletes practice with other elite athletes. Billionaires spend time with other billionaires. Innovators collaborate with innovators. They know that proximity is power. They know that if they sit in the right rooms with the right people, their standards rise automatically. The conversation shifts. the expectations change. What once felt impossible suddenly becomes normal, because in that circle, success is the standard, not the exception. But when you sit in the wrong rooms, excuses become the language. You hear things like, "That's impossible. People like us can't do that. The system is against us." Or, "Why bother?" And if you listen long enough, you start to believe it. Excuses are contagious. They creep into your mind, kill your ambition, and convince you to settle. You may not even realize it's happening until years pass, and you wonder why you're still stuck. That's why this chapter matters. To master the millionaire mind, you must carefully curate your circle. You must become ruthless about who gets access to your energy, your time, and your dreams. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone belongs in your inner circle. The people around you are either lifting you higher or pulling you under. It's your job to choose wisely. Let's break this down. What does it mean to surround yourself with winners? Winners are people who inspire you, challenge you, and push you beyond your comfort zone. They hold you accountable when you slack, and they celebrate you when you succeed. They believe in possibility, they think big, and they take action. Winners are not perfect, but they refuse to let setbacks define them. They learn, they adapt, and they keep moving forward. Excuse makers, on the other hand, are trapped in the language of limitation. They always have a reason why things won't work. They always have someone else to blame. They choose comfort over growth, and they criticize those who dare to aim higher. They don't just accept mediocrity, they defend it. If you hang around excuse makers long enough, you will find yourself lowering your standards, doubting your vision, and abandoning your goals. The first step in upgrading your circle is awareness. You must take an honest look at the people around you. Ask yourself, do these people fuel my ambition or drain it? Do they talk about opportunities or only about problems? Do they inspire me to take action or give me reasons to stay stuck? These questions are not easy to face, because sometimes the people holding you back are the ones closest to you. But the truth is, if you don't confront this reality, your growth will always be capped. Now let's be clear. Surrounding yourself with winners doesn't mean cutting everyone else out of your life completely. It means being intentional about influence. You can still love your family, care about your friends, and be kind to everyone. But you must decide whose voices get to shape your future. You can spend time with anyone, but you cannot allow just anyone to speak into your destiny. Winners get that privilege. Excuse makers do not. The good news is, winners are everywhere if you know how to find them. You can connect with them in masterminds, communities, networking events, or even through books and podcasts. If you don't have access to winners in person, immerse yourself in their ideas and their stories. Read biographies of successful people. Listen to interviews with leaders. Absorb the mindset of those who have achieved what you aspire to. In time, you will start attracting them into your real life, because like energy attracts like energy. Here's a truth most people don't realize. You don't need hundreds of winners around you. You need a few powerful ones. Even one mentor, one accountability partner, or one friend who believes in you can change your entire trajectory. The goal is not quantity, but quality. One winner can outweigh the noise of dozens of excuse makers. But surrounding yourself with winners is not just about receiving inspiration. It's about becoming one yourself. Winners attract winners. If you want to sit at powerful tables, you must bring value too. Don't just look for what you can take from successful people. Ask yourself what you can give. It may be your energy, your perspective, your skills, or simply your relentless drive. Winners respect action takers. They respect people who show up, who do the work, and who play at a high standard. Be that person, and you'll naturally draw winners into your life. Now let's talk about accountability. One of the greatest gifts of surrounding yourself with winners is accountability. Winners don't let you slack on your goals. They don't accept your excuses. They see through your stories, and they remind you of your standards. They push you when you're tired, and they remind you why you started. That accountability is priceless, because on your own, it's too easy to let yourself off the hook. With the right circle, your standards rise and excuses vanish. At the same time, you must learn to handle criticism. Winners will challenge you, They will point out your blind spots. They will demand more from you. This may feel uncomfortable, but it's exactly what you need. Growth does not come from comfort. It comes from pressure, from being stretched, from being called higher. If you only surround yourself with people who make you feel good but never challenge you, you are not in a circle of winners. You are in a circle of comfort. And comfort never created greatness. Let's address something important. Some people resist upgrading their circle because they fear being alone. They think, if I stop hanging out with the excuse makers, who will I have left? But solitude is better than bad company. For a season, it may feel lonely to distance yourself from negative influences. But that space will be filled with something better if you keep moving forward. Winners respect people who protect their energy. And when you hold your standards high, the right people will appear. Another resistance people face is guilt. They feel guilty for outgrowing their old circle. They fear being called arrogant, selfish, or disloyal. But here's the truth. You are not abandoning people by growing. You are showing them what's possible. And sometimes the best way to inspire others is not by staying stuck with them, but by rising higher and showing them what's achievable. Your growth can become their permission slip to grow too. Surrounding yourself with winners is not just about success in money. It's about success in every area of life. Winners take care of their health, their relationships, their mindset. They aim for excellence in all they do. When you are in their company, you can't help but adopt higher standards for yourself. You start eating better, thinking bigger, working harder, dreaming bolder. The energy of winners seeps into your life until you become one yourself. And here's the final key. Protecting your circle is an ongoing process. You don't decide once and forget about it. You must constantly evaluate who's in your life, who's influencing your thinking, and who deserves your time. As you grow, your circle must grow too. The people who got you to this level may not be the same people who will take you to the next. This doesn't mean you discard people coldly. It means you are intentional about who gets closest to you. So, what's the takeaway? If you want to master the millionaire mind, you cannot do it alone. You must surround yourself with winners. You must choose inspiration over excuses, accountability over comfort, growth over stagnation. Winners will elevate your vision, sharpen your focus, and fuel your drive. Excuse makers will keep you small, stuck, and satisfied with less than you deserve. The choice is yours. You were not meant to live average. You were not meant to stay stuck in circles of limitation. You were meant to rise, to thrive, to build, and to lead. And to do that, you must choose your company wisely. Surround yourself with winners, not excuses. Your future depends on it. Chapter 6. Play long-term, win big. The world is obsessed with speed. Everyone wants to get rich overnight, lose weight in a week, and master skills in a month. But the truth is, lasting success is never built in a hurry. It is built through vision, patience, persistence, and a long-term mindset. If you want to win big, you have to play long. Millionaire minds understand this. They don't chase shortcuts. They build foundations that last. The difference between people who win big and those who barely get by is perspective. Short-term thinkers focus on immediate gratification. Long-term thinkers focus on lasting impact. Short-term thinkers ask, how fast can I get results? Long-term thinkers ask, how big can this become if I stay consistent? The short-term thinker may score quick wins, but they often collapse when challenges appear. The long-term thinker, however, creates momentum that compounds over time until success becomes inevitable. Think about how wealth really works. Compounding is the magic that turns small actions into massive results. If you save or invest a little consistently, over years it grows into something powerful. If you improve a skill every day, in time you become world-class. If you nurture relationships with integrity and value, years later you have a network that opens doors others only dream of. Compounding is the secret ingredient of greatness. But compounding only works for those who play the long game. The problem is that many people sabotage themselves because they can't wait. They quit too early, chase too many shortcuts, and abandon their vision when it doesn't pay off immediately. They jump from one idea to another, from one job to another, from one strategy to another, and never stick with anything long enough to see results. They want the fruit without planting and watering the tree. That's why they never win big. But the millionaire mind thinks differently. It knows that building wealth, building a career, building influence, or building a business is like planting a forest. At first, there's nothing but soil. You put seeds in the ground, and for a while, it looks like nothing is happening. You water, you nurture, you protect it, and still, you see no immediate results. But underground, roots are growing. Foundations are forming. And then, one day, the shoots break through the surface. Years later, you have a tree. Keep going, and you have an entire forest. That is the power of playing long-term. Let's be clear. Playing long-term does not mean moving slowly or without urgency. It means moving with vision and strategy. It means you are not distracted by quick wins that lead nowhere. You move with intensity today, but your eyes are on a bigger horizon. You're not just trying to make money this month. You're building wealth for the next decade. You're not just trying to win followers this week. You're building influence that lasts a lifetime. You're not just trying to get fit for summer. You're creating health for the rest of your life. That is the long-term perspective. One of the biggest traps in life is short-term gratification. It tempts you with immediate pleasure but steals your long-term success. It's skipping the workout today for comfort, but losing your health later. It's spending impulsively now, but being broke later. It's chasing easy money schemes now, but missing out on real wealth later. The short-term path feels good in the moment, but costs you in the future. The long-term path requires discipline now, but rewards you forever. Millionaires choose discipline today for freedom tomorrow. Playing long-term also means learning patience with failure. Success is not a straight line. Along the way, you will fail, you will stumble, you will face setbacks. The short-term thinker sees failure as the end. The long-term thinker sees failure as feedback. They know that failure today is just a lesson that makes the long-term vision stronger. Every mistake is a stepping stone. Every setback is fuel. The long-term mindset doesn't quit at the first obstacle. It adapts and keeps moving. That resilience is what creates massive wins. Another key to playing long-term is mastering delayed gratification. Psychologists call this the ability to resist an immediate reward for a greater reward later. Studies have shown that people who master delayed gratification often achieve higher success in life. Why? Because they can sacrifice comfort today for greatness tomorrow. The millionaire mind is not distracted by the quick dopamine hits of social media likes, instant purchases, or easy wins. It invests in the future. It works today with tomorrow in mind. Think of great companies, great leaders, and great innovators. They all played the long game. Apple didn't become Apple overnight. Amazon started as a small online bookstore before becoming the empire it is today. Athletes trained for years before winning championships. Artists work for decades before being called legends. The common thread is consistency over time. They understood that greatness requires both vision and patience. Let's talk about consistency. Consistency is the fuel of long-term success. Anyone can work hard for a week, a month, or even a year. But the ones who rise to greatness are those who stay consistent for years. Consistency beats intensity. Doing small actions daily compounds into massive outcomes. Writing one page a day becomes a book. Saving a little each month becomes wealth. Making one connection at a time builds a powerful network. It's not the big dramatic actions that change your life. It's the small, repeated ones over time. Playing long-term also requires clarity of vision. You need to know what game you are playing. Too many people waste years chasing goals that don't align with who they are. They run fast in the wrong direction. But winners are clear about their long-term vision. They know what they want, why they want it, and what matters most. That clarity allows them to stay focused when distractions appear. When you know your long-term vision, you don't get easily swayed by short-term noise. Of course, the long-term path is not easy. It requires sacrifice. You may have to work while others play. You may have to invest when others spend. You may have to endure seasons of being misunderstood, underestimated, or even ridiculed. But those sacrifices are the price of long-term greatness. Later, while others struggle, you thrive. While others are stuck in mediocrity, you are reaping the rewards of years of vision, consistency, and discipline. The good news is that the long-term mindset is something you can train. Start by asking yourself, what do I want 5 years from now? 10 years from now? What vision excites me so much that I'm willing to put in the work even when results are slow? Once you have that vision, break it down into consistent actions. Commit to the process, not just the outcome. Then protect your vision from short-term temptations. Remind yourself daily that every choice is either moving you closer to your long-term win or further away. Playing long-term also means thinking generationally. The millionaire mind doesn't just think about its own life, it thinks about legacy. What wealth can I build that benefits my children? What impact can I create that lives beyond me? What foundation can I lay that others will stand on? Thinking generationally stretches your vision far beyond temporary goals. It forces you to build systems, values, and habits that last. That is true long-term thinking. Finally, playing long-term requires faith. You won't always see immediate results. Sometimes you will feel like nothing is working, but you must trust the process. Trust that the seeds you're planting today will grow tomorrow. Trust that your effort, your discipline, and your vision will pay off. The people who win big are not necessarily the smartest or the luckiest. They are the ones who kept going when others quit. They are the ones who believed long enough to see the breakthrough. So here's the truth. If you want to win big, you cannot live in short-term thinking. You cannot chase every shortcut, every trend, every easy option. You must rise above the noise and focus on the long game. Build with patience, consistency, and vision. Sacrifice today for freedom tomorrow. Learn from failure, master delayed gratification, and trust the process. Because the biggest wins in life are reserved for those who refuse to quit too soon. Play long-term, win big. That's the mindset of a millionaire. That's the path to greatness. And if you commit to it, there's nothing in this world that can stop you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. It really helps me create more content for you. Thank you.